Every time I think what happened to the eldest survivor of Hurricane Dorian and Hurricane Nicole, it brings tears to my eyes. And that's because I had a grandmother, I had a mother, and all the Delcina roll that survived two hurricanes. I don't know what we did to deserve two hurricanes in 3 years in Abaco. But the eldest survivor of Hurricane Dorian and Hurricane Nicole, Delcina Roll, was kicked out of a government house that this name keep coming up, Joelbeth Colby Davis. That Joelbeth Colby Davis, under the Mortgage Corporation of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, have done not one thing for not one single survivor of Hurricane Dorian nor Nicole. The only thing that the Mortgage Corporation have done under Joelbeth Colby Davis is that a couple of weeks ago, they hired an attorney to come down to represent the Mortgage Corporation. They brought this attorney in for one person. I was in the courtroom, and they brought Delcina Roll. She's about 86 years old. So they didn't bring her, but they gave a summons to her granddaughter. At the time, Delcina Roll and 8 of her children and grandchildren live in a house that the government didn't spend $1 to fix the dwelling home that belongs to the Mortgage Corporation. But before Hurricane Dorian, nobody bought that house. After Hurricane Dorian, it had no roof, it had no window. Through the good generosity of Samaritan Purse, they put a roof on there because the foreign organization, Samaritan Purse, recognized that Delcina Roll was the oldest surviving person in Spring City. They gave her a brand new roof. The kids saved enough money to get windows. The 4 years that she was there had no electricity. For the windows, they couldn't afford to fix the other 4 windows, so they were buttoned up. And the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, under Joelbeth Colby Davis, could afford an attorney to come and remove the eldest surviving person of Hurricane Dorian in Spring City. She has survived 2 hurricanes. The 3rd hurricane was the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and the minister responsible for housing, Joelbeth Colby Davis. The government could afford a $5,500 lawyer to come and to evict a woman, an elderly woman, that the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas didn't give a glass of water to. And they said that she owed the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the Mortgage Corporation, which she is an owner in the Mortgage Corporation, because Delcina Roll happened to be a Bahamian. So she is part owner of the house that Samaritan Purse fixed for her. I am still teared up because Delcina Roll could have been my grandmother. And I was in court when the court ordered them. The young lady said my grandmother was tired of the government harassing her to move. She moved 2 days before the court proceedings. The magistrate said, okay, we'll drop the $5,000. They said that Delcina Roll cost $5,000 worth of damage to a place that was unlivable, had no roof, had no window. But the Mortgage Corporation said that they owed $5,000. So the magistrate said, we will disregard the $5,000 with the damage that you did, but you have to pay $500 for the lawyer that came to evict you. That can't be right. There's 1,000 or more Haitians on government land. Government has spent many monies through a court proceedings to act as if they're gonna remove the Haitians, but the court has came back and said, you didn't even have to come to the courts to have the Haitian removed. You could have removed them under the Building Act. Every lawyer, including the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, is an attorney. He knows, I know, they know that you don't need to go to court to have people evicted from randomly building without any building code. You can have them evicted for that. The court doesn't have to get involved on the rules and the law that's already been set. But it's 1,000 people. Over 500 structures has been built on government land, and the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas have not had one single Haitian before the courts, but they had the Royal Bahamas Police Force under the worst ever superintendent of police, Superintendent Christopher Minus, sent police to Delcina Rolls' residence that Samaritan Purse fixed up and brought her to the courts, and she's been evicted. Today, 4 years later, some good Samaritans has built a structure for Delcina Roll. She still, 4 years later, I was out there yesterday, doesn't have electricity. I didn't even know she had toiletry. But does the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas care for the oldest survivor of 2 hurricanes, while the F&M government had a trailer full of bodies? 55 Bahamians were in a trailer for 9 months, and they only buried them because of the necessity and the aggressiveness of the continual videographing of the trailer behind the government clinic, that they buried 55 persons. To date, 4 years later, nobody knows the name of the 55 dead. Nobody knows how many people have died in Hurricane Doreen. But a living Delcina Roll was ordered by the courts. Her and her grandkids, 9 members, was ordered to be evicted out of a mortgage corporation building that 2 weeks later, after they have been evicted, only the locks and a note is on the door. That makes me angry. How could the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas treat an 89-year-old survivor of 2 hurricanes in 3 years before the courts to be evicted, and not one single Haitian has been ordered to move off of government land? This was one of these care hurtful video, because Annie Dell could have been my grandmother. Annie Dell could have been Jobed Colby Davis' grandmother. Annie Dell could have been Brave Davis' grandmother. She is somebody's grandmother. And the government made her homeless by evicting her out of a government mortgage corporation building that the minister, Jobed Colby Davis, brought an attorney to evict an 89-year-old survivor of Hurricane Doreen and Nicole, and haven't done one single thing for her 4 years later. Today she's still without electricity and kicked out of a mortgage corporation building. I just tired of the miserable life that Abaconians are living unnecessarily. Kai cares. That's why he's here. I'm hurt because Kai cares too much.